Coming up on City Scene, we take a little drive into the future to see what one of the state's highest traffic areas will look like someday. Then, from trafficways to greenways, how the city celebrates Earth Day. And it's 30 days to celebrate the Big Squeeze. Welcome to City Scene right here on CityLink, where each month we go all around the departments in the city of Sioux Falls. And today we start with an area of Sioux Falls that in the future could look dramatically different. It's the Interstate 29 and 41st Street exchange. Shannon, tell us what's looking ahead.
Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Shannon Austin, and we are out here on 41st Street and Carolyn Avenue. I'm here with Jason Jensen from HDR. Jason, we're taking our lives into our own hands today, but we are on one of the city's busiest streets, 41st Street. And of course, we've talked about this corridor before on City Scene, but we're actually studying it to make it better and wider. Can you give our viewers just a brief overview of what our plans are?
Yeah, absolutely. And so just a few years ago, it seems like quite a while ago, about 2012, we ended what we had on 41st Street was the corridor study.
Okay.
And really looked at the type of lane configurations, access treatments that we would need, really along from the mall over towards Marion Road and even out towards Sertoma. Okay. And so we kind of re-engaged the study in 2016, started doing more environmental type items as we're really trying to identify kind of the improvements and kind of finally indicate exactly to the public what we want to go with.
So what's it looking like from Marion to, let's say, Shirley?
From Marion to Shirley, we got kind of two components of that. And so if we look on the east side of the interchange, from Shirley over to I-29, okay. We have right now 3 lanes in each direction. We expect to keep 3 lanes in each direction. Kind of our major challenge over there is the current signalized intersection at Empire and the signalized intersection of Shirley, okay. With the turning movements in and out of the mall and the retail centers. And when we look at that side, we're really going to focus on access, how we improve the intersections. We're looking at raised median treatments to control some of those access points. And as we get to the west side of the interchange, we're looking at adding an additional through lane in each direction to go from 2 lanes in each direction to 3 on each side. So a 6-lane section, again with a raised median because of those volumes that we have. And that would be all the way to Marion Road, at least with this project.
Okay, so we're standing here right at Carolyn. And Carolyn is very close to the interchange. Can you give our viewers an indication what will happen to Carolyn?
That's a good topic of conversation, because when we're looking at interchange alternatives, we have just a few left that we've kind of narrowed it down to, and in each of the 2 that we have left have impacts due to the proximity of Carolyn to where we have our right turn lane and our on-ramp. And so we've looked at several different ways to provide access to Carolyn or even eliminate direct access to Carolyn.
Okay.
And so as we move forward in the study, we still need to vet those different alternatives with the folks that have businesses along Carolyn, along 41st Street, and we hope to do that here in the coming weeks.
Okay, so also along 41st Street, a lot of our pedestrians and bicyclists are kind of, a little shaky when it comes to using the corridor. Are we going to try to incorporate any pedestrian improvements also?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 41st Street is a corridor that's expanded over time. The sidewalks along the corridor are right against the street, and that does make folks a little bit uncomfortable.
Right.
We've had intersection projects where we've widened roadways, all of these different things that kind of make the sidewalks and pedestrian ability maybe a little more difficult. So with the project, we really want to go through there, get all of the sidewalks that get put in up to ADA standards, make them as wide as we possibly can with the right-of-way constraints that we have, and make it a little more enjoyable. Now, when we look at other amenities, we just do not have the right-of-way and those type of things to maybe add additional amenities like bike lanes or sidewalks out to 10, 12 feet wide.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about other corridors. Let's compare 41st Street to like the 12th Street corridor. Give our viewers an understanding of, the volumes and the comparisons between both those corridors.
Sure. Those are very good. Right now, 41st Street is in the high 30s of thousands of vehicles, almost 40,000 vehicles per day. 12th Street has actually been over 40,000. Actually, It seems like on a yearly basis it gets closer to 50,000.
Okay.
And so, man, it's been about 12 years ago already when we reconstructed the 12th Street corridor. and went in some cases from 2 lanes to 3 lanes, improved intersections, and then in 2010 we did improvements to the 41st Street Bridge. We had improvements on 49th Street and 57th Street. All of those have kind of rearranged traffic along 41st Street. So we seem to be holding in that high 30,000 vehicle range per day, and that's really what we're consistently looking at with the design.
Still a lot of vehicles as they're passing us by.
Yeah.
But our viewers are certainly invited to attend public meetings that we have scheduled for the end of April, beginning of May. Stay tuned to City Scene for those announcements. And there's so many opportunities for public input and public involvement, certainly with the interchange options that we have. So we encourage you folks to stay involved and contact City Engineering if you do have any additional questions. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Shannon. Now let's head east to the River Greenway to see how folks down there will be celebrating Earth Day while doing a little spring cleaning.
So Earth Day is a global celebration. It occurs every year on April 22nd, and this year, to make it really special, we are combining our annual Greenway Cleanup event with Earth Day. So we'll have our Greenway Cleanup event this year on April 22nd as a celebration for the community for Earth Day, and a chance for the community to come out and help participate in Earth Day by cleaning up our local environment. As the snow melts, it carries some of that debris down, and everything kind of drains to the river, from the storm drains to all the streets. Everything just kind of seems to end up this way. And so it's a great opportunity to come out before the grass gets too long, before we get too much foliage, come out and clean up after the snow melt and the litter that's on the ground.
This year the volunteers need to know that we have amended the times. We used to do it from 8 to 11. Given that we're moving it up into April, we've decided to move it back to 9 to noon this year. All you have to do is simply show up. There'll be volunteers from various organizations and other groups that will be there, can kind of direct you, provide supplies and the things that you might need, to trash bags and various other things that you may need on your excursion.
This is the 4th year for the Greenway Cleanup, and every year we have over 100 volunteers come out. This year, since we're doing the event a little bit earlier in the year, before the busy summer season, we hope that we get an even bigger turnout this year. School will still be in session, so it'd be a great opportunity for classrooms and students to come out, but it's also before everyone gets busy with their summer activities too.
Well, the Big Sioux River is a huge asset to this city. We all use it in one way, shape, or form. It's a huge recreational opportunity that we all take advantage of. We also use the benefits. It's our drinking water supply, and it's a good reminder for us and a way to educate the public that over the efforts that we've made over the last 10 years as far as trying to improve water quality in the Big Sioux. So yes, the trash is unsightly and those kinds of things, but our office's mission is to improve water quality, and so it kind of gives us an opportunity to reach out to the public and remind people that there's other issues with this river other than just the trash that may have accumulated over the last year.
Earth Day is recognized by more than 190 countries and started in 1970. And from spring cleaning at the Greenway to spring cleaning in your garage, there are some safety tips you want to keep in mind when you clean out that part of the house.
Hi, this is Fire Division Chief Brad Goodwill, Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. With me today is Fire Inspector Tyler Churchma, and we're going to talk today about some garage safety issues and things you should do to keep yourself safe in the garage. Welcome, Tyler.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, with spring fever coming around, everybody's getting the itch to get out and clean up their garage. This is a good time to look through your garage, look for those fire safety, any hazards you may have in your garage. So we'll just kind of take a look around this garage here and see what we have. One thing is with your flammable liquids, such as your gas, your propane, paints, varnishes, anything like that. Ideally, we'd like to see them stored outside of your garage, possibly in a portable shed. If you do have to store them in your garage, we'd like to see gasoline around about 5 gallons in an approved container. And when you store it, you want to make sure you're storing it away from any other combustible materials. Like if we would store it down here by these rags, we'd like to see it up off of the ground, away from anything combustible. Propane tanks, we'd like to see them stored on your deck, by your grill, never really in the garage, but if you have to, just make sure, again, away from any combustible materials. If you have a fire extinguisher in your garage, which we do recommend, we recommend that it is mounted on the wall in a secure place. And every year or so, just kind of turn it over, give it a tap with the mallet, just loosen everything up in there, and flip it over, and it'll be good for another year. If you have any chemicals in your home, we'd like to see that you just purchase the amount that you need so you don't have a lot of chemicals on hand. If you do, we'd like to see them stored up high, possibly in a locked shelf so kids or animals stay away from them. Never mix two chemicals together. Even if the chemical is for the same purpose, mixing two chemicals could actually interact and cause a poisonous gas. And always store them in their original containers so you know what chemical is in them. When it comes to getting rid of them, just make sure you're disposing of them properly. Going on here, extension cords. A lot of us like to use extension cords in the garages. Just make sure you're not overloading the circuit, and the extension cord is only used for temporary use only. Don't use it for permanent use. And we're looking up here. This garage here has a heater in it. With the heaters, any type of heater, you want to make sure you're keeping any combustible material at least 3 feet away at minimum, but double check with your manufacturer's recommendations on how far stuff should be put away, and always make sure it's installed by a professional installer so it's done correctly. If you do have a small floor space heater, want to make sure you have that on a flat level surface, once again away from any combustible materials at least 3 feet, but like I said, make sure you check with your manufacturer's recommendations. Always plug your heater into directly into an outlet. Do not use an extension cord, which could overheat and cause a fire hazard as well.
Tyler, how about some of these rags? We see some rags piled up here and down there. What's kind of recommendation there for oily rags?
With oily rags, a lot of people might have heard oily rags causing some fires and stuff. What happens actually is with that oily rag, if you throw them in a container and they're not getting a lot of air, what will happen is they'll actually heat up. They'll spontaneously combust through oxidization. So what will happen is they'll heat up, and that heat will have nowhere to go, which will cause those rags to start on fire. So what we'd like to see done, if you do have an oily rag, such as varnish rags, just lay them out on the ground, and let them dry separately. Once they're completely dry, then you can throw them away, dispose of them right away. Don't throw them right into your garbage can in your garage, which could be a huge fire hazard as well.
How about working on machinery or power equipment inside an enclosed garage with carbon monoxide? What are our issues there?
Yeah, usually in the wintertime we like to work on our cars inside the garage, and sometimes we kind of get busy. We forget to keep our garage door cracked open. What'll happen is you get that carbon monoxide building up in your garage, which could cause headaches, dizziness, and then eventually, other health conditions.
Sure. How about smoke detectors in the garage? I mean, they recommend in the house. What about in the garage?
With smoke detectors, we recommend not using a smoke detector in the garage. What happens is with the humidity, fluctuation in temperatures, hot to cold, that can actually damage the sensor in the smoke detector. But if you do want some fire protection in your garage, we do recommend heat detectors. What that'll do is if it senses a fluctuation in heat, a high rate increase in heat, it'll actually set the alarm off, and you can tie that right into your home fire alarm system. Another thing with fire safety in the garage, if you do have a attic entry there, always want to make sure the door is closed. What happens if you keep that door open, and let's say these shelves would burn on, start on fire, the fire could actually get up into your rafters and then over into your home there. So absolutely always just make sure your door is shut on that as well. Another thing that we recommend with your homes is with the door entering into your home, we like to see a self-closing, self-latching door. And most of the doors now, code recommends that there is a 20-minute fire door protection. So just make sure it's self-closing, self-latching.
I also see some ladders stacked up over here. Do you have any ladder safety recommendations?
With ladders, we like to actually see them stored horizontally. What could happen is a young child could come and grab onto it and actually tip it backwards and fall on them. So yeah, off the ground, horizontally, possibly on the wall hanging. So, how
about any other trip hazards or fall hazards that you'd see in a garage?
Just want to make sure your workspace is always clean. Make sure you got everything picked up. Extension cords aren't running across the ground.
Sure, a lot of people have their little campfires, their little recreational fires in the backyard. What would you recommend there for removing all the ashes and that type of thing?
Yeah, usually what we'd like to see is after you're done having your campfire or whatever, your fire pit, pour some water on the ashes and actually let them sit overnight in that water. On the next day, you can actually throw them in like a 5-gallon bucket or something, just discard them correctly. Don't throw them directly into your garbage can. What'll happen is they may look like they're cool, but they're gonna sit there and char overnight and can start your garbage on fire. So just let them sit out overnight, throw some water on them, and dispose of them correctly.
All right, how about the access doors and garage doors? Any safety tips there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like our friends at the Sioux Falls Police Department like to recommend keeping your doors closed at all times and locked night and day. And during the day, make sure your garage doors are closed, just so people aren't driving by seeing what items you do have in your garage.
All right, well thanks, Tyler. Is there anything for information? Places people can go
if anybody has any questions regarding fire safety, smoke alarm installs, or anything like that, you can give us a call at 367-8093.
Coming up next, you don't want to pass on this story, everything you need to know to get your swimming pass this year.
All around town, from stores to playgrounds, babies are on the move. And there are diseases that are on the move too. And some of these spread easily. To best protect him from 14 serious diseases by the time he turns 2 years old, vaccinate him according to the recommended schedule, so he can go on about his business and you can have peace of mind. For more reasons to vaccinate, talk to your child's doctor or go to cdc.gov/vaccines.
Looking for fun summer employment? Do you like working with kids? Look no further. Sioux Falls Parks and Recreation is seeking reliable teammates to work in a variety of summer seasonal roles. From playground staff and youth leaders to pool positions and lifeguards. To learn more about these opportunities, log on to siouxfalls.org/parks-jobs. Positions begin at $10 per hour.
Welcome back. As we spring into the month of April, it's also time to put some pressure on your health, but the good kind. Mary, explain for us the big squeeze.
Hi, I'm Mary Michaels with the Sioux Falls Health Department and the Live Well Sioux Falls Initiative. It's April, and that means it's time for the big squeeze, our annual focus on high blood pressure in our community. We know that this is a health issue that can cause problems for people because oftentimes there are no symptoms of high blood pressure. And so what we want people to do this month is to get out and get a blood pressure screening, know your numbers, and then take action if your numbers are high. With me today is Marianne Zinno from Walgreens, one of our big squeeze partners. And Walgreens, along with Lewis Drug, Avera, Sanford, Dakota Care, we have universities in town, the American Heart Association, who have all come together around this issue of high blood pressure. So why is something like the big squeeze important to a community?
Oh, it's just very important. I mean, our health is everything. If we don't have our health, we, don't have life anymore, really. So I think it's so important, and I think as a community working together to understand, what is affecting our health in the community and what can help us live a better life and make a greater Sioux Falls.
That's right. And with high blood pressure, it is kind of scary, and they do call it the silent killer because there are no real outward symptoms until maybe it's too late. And we've seen kind of that high blood pressure is a growing problem, not just in our community, but across the nation. Is that right? Yeah, that's correct. Actually, I was really surprised to see like 1 in 3 adults actually are diagnosed with high blood pressure, which seems like a huge number to me. Yeah, and what we've heard is that many times there are people with high blood pressure that don't even know it. And the only way you can find out oftentimes is to get that blood pressure check. And you want to do that before something more serious happens, like a heart attack or a stroke. And so having been part of the Big Squeeze now, this is our 7th year of the Big Squeeze, and having screenings around town, what's something that you've learned through your involvement with the Big Squeeze?
Well, just recently, the last couple years, we've really noticed a huge increase in the number of young adults in Sioux Falls that have high blood pressure. And, I always think, being a young adult, we think we're in the healthiest time of our lives. Why would we have to worry about having high blood pressure? But really, our study has shown so far in the last couple years that that's really our biggest increase of high blood pressure.
And when you think about that age group, 18 to 24, that's college-age students, maybe people who are just entering the workforce for the first time. And so that's why one thing that the Big Squeeze tries to do is to reach out to work sites and encourage them to hold screenings for their employees, because if you can catch that early and be aware of the blood pressure and work with your physician to take care of it, it can prevent some of those more serious effects later. Yeah. And so we know that some of the effects that impact blood pressure are diet, physical activity, tobacco use, stress. And so prevention is really important, not only for high blood pressure, but for other types of illnesses too, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it can be, it's really a leading cause of heart disease in America. So that's, and in Sioux Falls. So that's why, we want to get screened early so we can prevent that.
That's right. Well, there are screenings happening all over town, at Walgreens, at Lewis, at clinics around town, churches. Many churches have parish nurses. Many work sites will be hosting screenings. And so what we want to remind you to do is to get out, get squeezed this month of April, know your numbers, work with your physician, and take action if your blood pressure is high. And to learn more about this Big Squeeze effort and where you can find screenings during the month of April, go to www.thebigsqueezesf.org. And we really want you to get out, post a picture of yourself getting your blood pressure taken, #BigSqueezeSF. Show us that you're knowing your numbers and that you are helping yourself to live well.
And of course, a great way to keep your blood pressure in check is exercise. And one of the best ways to get some exercise is diving into the pool. This is the time of year you want to think about those summer swim passes. And here's all you need to know to get yours.
Hi, I'm Jean Pearson with Sioux Falls Parks and Recreation. I'm a recreation program coordinator, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the aquatics division for the upcoming summer. This summer, we're in the heat of lifeguard recruitment. This time of year we're looking for candidates to work at our outdoor pools as well as the Midco Aquatic Center. These positions can range from full-time position to a part-time position, as well as a 28-hour position at the Midco Aquatic Center. So we're looking for quality candidates for those positions, people who like to be outdoors, who like to interact with the public, and enjoy being around water. So those positions run from $11 an hour up to $12.50 an hour if you're a water safety instructor, and we're always looking for those individuals to help teach our swimming lessons. So if you have a son or a daughter or a friend who's looking for employment this summer, we encourage you to apply with Sioux Falls Parks and Recreation and look at potentially being a lifeguard for us this summer. Additionally, this summer, as many know, swim pass sales will be going on sale. Those will go on sale officially on Monday, April 10th. And with that, you can buy any pass that we have available, and that would include our annual passes, our fall, winter, spring passes, as well as our summer passes. One new addition that we have and has been very popular is our annual pass. And the change to that is that you can purchase that annual pass any day of the year, and it will be good for 365 days. So we encourage folks to take a look at all of the options that we have available. You can purchase those passes starting April 10th at the Midco Aquatic Center, and then once the outdoor pool's open, you have the opportunity to purchase your pass there. With the season passes, if you purchased your pass last summer at full price, you do have the opportunity to go online to our website and you can renew your pass online. If you qualify for a free or a reduced pass, you can come to the Midco Aquatic Center, or once the outdoor pool's open, you can certainly attend one of those pools and you can renew your pass there. If you're brand new to Sioux Falls, or if you've never been part of our summer pass program or our year-round pass program, we encourage you to stop by the Midco Aquatic Center, and our staff will gladly assist you in finding the right pass for you. And once you've purchased your pass, moving forward, then you would be able to renew online. So we're really looking forward to the opportunity for folks to be able to use the convenience of home and renew their swim passes sitting at their computer at their convenience versus coming to see us. So we're really looking forward to that. Again, if you have additional questions, you certainly can check our website. You can check it at www.siouxfalls.org/parks, or you can go to midcoaquaticcenter.org and find the same information there. So we encourage you to use those avenues to find the information that you're searching for.
Finally, there was a special visitor at the Great Plains Zoo helping save an endangered species that calls the Great Plains Zoo home.
We were so pleased to have Dr. Greg Rasmussen with us recently to talk about African painted dogs. Here at the Great Plains Zoo, we have a breeding pair of African painted dogs, or wild dogs as they're known. But it was really so satisfying to have one of the top biologists who have been working on dogs in the field in Africa for the last almost 30 years.
I started working with painted dogs about 28 years ago, and I was actually just a young biologist and I had no idea what species I was going to work with. I was working with reptiles, and someone said to me, would you help me work with painted dogs? And I said, okay, 6 months, I'll do it. But you know, as soon as I got into the species, there were three things that really struck me. The first thing that struck me was that here was a species we didn't even know was endangered. And I didn't know it was endangered. I figured I'm a young biologist, I should know at least these things. You're a mechanic, you should know what's going on in the mechanic world. And there was only about 200 left in the whole country in Zimbabwe. I didn't know why. I mean, I didn't know they were being slaughtered by the ranchers in the numbers that they were being slaughtered. And the third thing I didn't know, which is probably the thing that really captured me, was the amazing social system of the painted dog. You know, in those days they were called wild dogs, and they were deliberately called wild dogs to give them a bad name. And they were being absolutely persecuted. And I felt that there was a hat I could wear there. I felt I could do something about it. Slowly but surely I saw this social system. It was very much the Three Musketeers, you know, the one for all and all for one, how they looked the most caring animal. And I thought, well, so that was number one. The second is that they were, you know, they were so badly persecuted. And there was the whole public against them. And then, you know, the education then came into it. But also science was really important. And so I carried that balance with me through for the last 28 years. And today in Zimbabwe, we haven't got 200 painted dogs. We've got nearly 700 or 800 painted dogs. So you can make a difference.
We have a breeding pair of African painted dogs, and soon we hope we'll have a rolling, rumbling pack of wild dogs. Wild dogs can live in packs up to 20, and so these make great exhibit animals. The two that we have, Sasha and Chili, are already really active, moving throughout their exhibit. Lots of people enjoy watching them get their enrichment, spring around throughout the exhibit. But when we have a whole pack of pups and adults, it's really going to be so exciting and lively. In the wild, these are really important predator animals in Africa. And so to have a top biologist who has studied some of the problems that these dogs are facing in the wild is really very enriching for our group. And in addition, he had some husbandry examples and some tips for our folks in dealing with the husbandry and veterinary needs of these very interesting dogs.
You know, the take-home message for everyone is, you know, come and learn about painted dogs here in Sioux Falls. You know, there's a way everyone can make a difference, whether it's helping them to inform somebody else, whether it's their parents, to help us with some of our programs that we want to do. You know, we've got funding programs we're trying to fund. You know, I mean, even Roundup, you know, the 20 cents in a dollar that goes into the pot around makes a huge difference to conservation. And the nice thing is that money raised that can go to Africa can go a long way. We can do an awful lot with a very small budget in Africa.
More and more our guests are understanding that a zoo is a great place to go with your family for that day of recreation. And in fact, more people visit zoos than all of the people who go to major league sports in a year. So people understand that zoos are important organizations for recreation. What people are understanding more and more is that zoos really are conservation organizations. So through the work of zoos and through field biologists like Dr. Rasmussen, we are literally working to save species.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And we'll see you back here next month. And of course, if you missed anything, all you need to do is head over to siouxfalls.org or, of course, check us out on YouTube. Until then, we'll see you back here.